I spent weeks training with some of the world's top dolphin researchers to learn to speak like a dolphin in order to see if this pod of actual dolphins would accept me as one of their own. It might sound kind of crazy.
I mean, it is a little bit crazy.
But dolphin researchers are actually just starting to crack the mysteries of dolphin communication. And indeed, scientists are attempting to communicate with dolphins using their own communication system. So the question is, if I learn their sound, will they talk back?
There we go.
Or will they just swim away?
Like this, ready?
Before I met the dolphins, I wanted to run my idea by some actual dolphin scientists to see what they thought of it.
How are you?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
Dr. Bruck, thank you for making the time.
Of course, happy to do it.
I don't know. I just had one question, which was, can I speak to dolphins? Is that possible?
I had this crazy idea that it would be possible to speak to dolphins.
Well, I have one question back. What do you mean by speaking to them?
Right. So
To be able to speak dolphin to a dolphin, it's an anatomy problem. So I'll kind of show you the nature of your problem.
I had sent you some audio samples of my voice to see how it compares to that of a dolphin.
These are called spectrograms. And here's you. So this is you speaking.
Try to go a little bit higher. Hello? Higher. And now let's try even higher. And higher. Ah!
This is dolphin. You'll notice they look kind of different, don't they? These are pure whistles.
It looks like they're whistling at 10,000.
Yeah, but they're much, much higher, like in a way that you probably cannot vocalize.
Dude.
So I'll tell you, as scientists, we do this,
Yeah.
but we do it with an underwater speaker. And we take underwater speakers that are pumped into amplifiers, which, you know,
Right.
devices that we can play. And those devices are playing at sampling frequencies above your human hearing.
One of the key principles when we're trying to understand the function of chords is to do playback experiments in which we observe first when certain chords occur, then we develop an idea of what could be perhaps the function, when does it get triggered, and then we would play specific chords and see how the animal reacts to it when it hears those chords. We're usually trying to simulate another dolphin. So,
Right.
and then kind of see what the reactions are. In that sense, we are, if you want, in inverted commas, speaking to dolphins, because we're playing sounds back, we're looking at their reactions, and we get them to call back, for example.
My goal is to see how much I can do with my own body.
I wanted to show off a dolphin sound to Professor Janik, which I had actually learned from his own research. It's thought to be associated with feeding.
do you want to hear my bray sound?
That's an easy one, but okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
I think.
I need a little bit more work.
So here's some comments on the practicalities of that. So first of all, dolphin hearing is not the same as ours. They are much more sensitive to higher frequencies, and so when you listen to the whistles, they're kind of like squeaky noises that are very fast, and when you slow them down, they're really different to our ear. And the main problem for us making dolphin sounds is that we just can't produce sounds that are in that frequency easily.
What about human whistling? So if I'm like how high can that go?
The dolphins will look at it and be like, okay. And they just kind of swim away. Like, that's not at all convincing. I mean, here, for example, you've got vocalizations being produced here that probably won't even play. There are aspects of overlap. You've got some options. There's always ways of, obviously these animals are communicated with every day.
However, dolphins make a lot of sounds in air that are much lower frequency. And the reason then what they normally do. And the reason for that is that they are trying to get the attention of people. So it's not just us making sounds back to them. They're also making sounds to us. And so you get that kind of exchange. So
90% of the time, I'm sure they're going to read it as nothing. You've said nothing. You're just a human making weird sounds, which could be the better of the alternatives. The other alternative is that you've communicated something aggressive.
Whether they react or not, I can see why you want to do it. It's, you just got to try it out. I'm not sure.
While dolphin signature whistles are probably really well studied compared to a lot of other things, there's still a vast level of stuff that we just don't know yet. And I think the best shot you've got here is to generate your own signature whistle. Take the whistles that you know of, and then you have a signature whistle, and then See if you can get them to whistle back their signature whistle in the presence of yours. That would be you talking to a dolphin in the way that dolphins talk to each other. If you repeat your whistle in bouts, do three whistles in a row with less than a second, between them, you will have communicated that I have a signature whistle and I am producing my signature whistle to you.
Wow, okay, so yeah, I definitely have my work cut out for me, but...
Good luck to you. Tell them I said hi.
Now, dolphin communication is a much higher frequency than typical human communication. But there is one type of human communication that uses exclusively high-frequency whistles. Called silbogomero, it's a way of speaking Spanish through whistling that's been used to communicate in the high mountains of the Canary Islands for hundreds of years. So, to the great annoyance of my entire family, I spent many hours practicing the unique one-finger whistling system of silbogomero that allows for loud and variable pitch whistling. Do I sound like a dolphin? That I thought would be my best shot for trying to speak to dolphins. So it was finally time to visit Dolphin Research Center in the Florida Keys, where I met up with their head researcher, Dr. Kelly Yakala. Dolphin Research Center is a nonprofit that rescues and cares for dolphins that can't be returned to the wild, and you can visit them at their website dolphins.org, in person in Florida, or consider donating via the QR code. And I'll also be donating a portion of this video's sponsorship proceeds as well.
Hi.
Hey,
how
nice
are
to
you?
see you.
Nice to see you too. From what I've heard, you're the brains behind the operation. PhD from MIT.
Okay, so
You talk to animals for a living. This is what you
Okay,
do.
we specialize in how dolphins think, how they learn, which includes, of course, how they communicate with each other. And so that's why we're really excited to have you here, so that you can see that and maybe talk to our dolphins a bit.
How much do we actually know about how dolphins communicate?
So a lot of people will tell you, if you go on to the dark interwebs, oh, they can communicate telepathically. No, they can't, as far as we can tell. They also think they can beam pictures to each other with echolocation. Not so much.
Okay. You must get a lot of interesting people coming.
We get all kinds of interesting people.
Yeah.
Dolphins basically make three classes of sounds. There's their echolocation, that is used for perception. So that sounds kind of like a creaking door. Then kind of more like kind of. And they can change it. Their echolocation is amazing. They can see like a 1-inch ball from like 80 yards away. And I say see, but I mean by sound.
Right, that's crazy.
They can also echolocate inside of you if you're in the water with them. So one of our...
What do you mean, like an X-ray?
Kind of, yeah, well, more like an ultrasound. In fact, exactly like an ultrasound, right? So back in the day, one of our trainers, Linda Erb, she found out she was pregnant for the first time.
No.
By being in the water.
No.
She got in the water with Teresa, and Teresa was crazy interested in her belly and was like scanning her. She's like,
way.
What's going on? The next week she went to the doctor. Turns out, she was pregnant. The second kind is burst pulse sounds. These are the kinds that they use for they're like squeals and blats and growls that seem to carry a lot of emotional information, right? That could be one, like when they're really excited or when they're not so excited and not happy. Then they also do this thing, they whistle. The part that we know about are what we call signature whistles.
This is their name, right?
Yeah, exactly. If you put a hydrophone, which is an underwater microphone, if you put that into a lagoon with a bunch of dolphins, you'll probably hear a bunch of different whistles. And for the longest time, people thought maybe it's kind of a language and they're like words and they're talking to each other, etc.
Right.
But they couldn't figure out what they meant. Turns out that the Caldwells, this is the scientists back then, when they took one out for a medical exam, what they heard is that one dolphin would make one whistle over and over and over again. If you took a different dolphin away from their social group, that one would make a different whistle. So it wasn't that these whistles were coding individual objects like chair and table, etc., right? Instead, it was coding their individual dolphin. Here's what this one sounds like.
This is basically like the name of each dolphin,
Yes.
essentially.
Yes.
And so you can see it's very different.
Very different, exactly.
Yeah. Where does it compare roughly with human vocalizations? Like where are we?
We're here. Well, you see where it cuts off here? This is because of technology, because our hydrophones and microphones only are geared for our hearing.
You can't do
right?
it. Wow.
And so you can't. When you're making sounds at them,
Yeah.
it sounds very low to them. It's at the lower end of their hearing range. All right, so they're kind of like names. They're not exactly like names, and I want to tell you why. I want to show you about one of our studies that we did. It's called Go Get the Baby. And so what we did, this dolphin is named Marina. At the time we did the study, she had a 3-month-old calf named Windley, and some of our dolphins, actually all of our dolphins, can go get something. That's one of the signals that they have. And Marina learned, go get the baby. And so we can actually ask her, the baby's going to be off in the lagoon somewhere, and the trainer's going to look for times when the baby's far away, and then say, hey, Marina, go get your baby. And we've got a hydrophone in the water. And so what you see here, and I'll play it for you, what you see here is what the sounds are underwater. And she comes back with the kid. The question here is, well, what was she whistling, right? We know that this is Marina's signature whistle. We know that this is Windley's signature whistle. And when you compare what we know to the actual spectrogram, you see that Marina was making her own whistle, which is why I said they're not exactly like names. Because if you walked away saying, Ari, 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 people would be like, wow, he's kind of lost it.
Right.
But that's what the dolphins do.
Well, but I guess it makes sense in some sense that if her job is to locate her calf, presumably her own signature is going to be helpful for the calf in letting her know that, hey, like, mom's here.
Yeah, and
like,
in fact,
mama's here.
When we had 2 of our dolphins were pregnant, and we recorded the whistles that they made in the few weeks before the calves were born and in the few weeks after. And as soon as the calves were born, the moms started making their own signature whistle a lot more.
Really?
Yeah, and presumably that was sort of an imprinting thing, like this is mom,
cool.
this is mom, this is mom, so that they would know. A series of studies that we did was on cooperation, how they work together to do something. And so we created a game, and the game was, we had 2 buttons underwater. They had to swim across a lagoon, press those buttons at the same time, within a second of each other, right? And if they did, they win. If not, they lose. That little jumpy thing they did at the end, they didn't do that on signal. That was them being excited because they got it right. Then the question, of course, how are they doing it? Right? They have to be communicating somehow in order to get that to happen. Now we're going to listen to what it is that they're doing. Those squiggly lines up there are whistles. That last one is Delta's signature whistle. Those first 2 whistles, we have no idea what they are.
Wow. I'm getting goosebumps. I'm like, whoa. They're saying something to each other, some type of communication.
Yes.
We just don't know what it means.
We
Maybe
don't know
it means
what it
like
means.
go there, come here.
I'm ready, go.
Right.
We now have a lot of these videos. We did this study for a few years. And so we are now trying to look at all of their whistles and trying to figure out, can we figure out?
Yeah, what matches up with what?
Yeah. Here's the trick though with that. What everybody wants to do is try to associate what the context is with the whistle.
Right. Sure.
You and I have been standing here talking for a long time. None of us have mentioned
Abstractions.
Well, none of us have mentioned all of the things that are here.
Yeah, maybe they're just talking about the weather.
We talk about, what's not here, exactly. And if that's true,
Right.
that's really hard to do.
The ultimate dream scenario is you figure out what one of these things means or what you think it means, play it back to them and see if you can reproduce the behavior.
Absolutely. It can also get tricky though, right? Because if you hear somebody, say you hear just a disembodied spin, you might not spin. You might be like, what the what?
Right, yes, exactly. It's a tricky problem.
It's a very tricky problem. It's an exciting problem.
Very exciting.
But I think
so
people
cool.
don't appreciate how difficult it is.
Yeah.
I mean, even you study languages, right? If you go into a place where you don't know the language at all.
No, it's impossible. You need somebody to explain it to you in a language that you already know.
Right, and we don't have that.
This it's like studying aliens.
Right.
You have no idea. So let's go talk to some dolphins now?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm ready.
So, what is it you're planning to do with our dolphins now that you're here?
Well, you sent me some of the clips. I don't know if this is going to work or not, but I've been memorizing their signature whistles and also some other non-signature whistles that I've heard, and I don't know, and also like Silbo Gomero whistling, so I can try to whistle a little bit louder. And I also have my own signature whistle.
You do?
That I've given myself. So I want to try to introduce myself to the dolphins as if I were a dolphin. I don't know, it kind of sounds crazy, but I just...
Okay, well, I mean, it is a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be cool.
So let's see what happens. I'm kind of nervous. I've never met a dolphin before.
Oh, you're going to love it.
So, okay.
kind of scared, but let's do it.
In order to finally meet the dolphins, I met up with my dolphin trainer, Sarah.
So I'm going to take you down today to meet two of my best friends. This is Tanner and Flagler. They were both born here, lived their entire lives here, and we're going to show you some cool stuff with them.
Okay, let's go talk to dolphin.
All right.
Okay. Oh shoot, I'm kind of nervous. I've never seen a dolphin before in my life.
You never? Oh, you're going to love these guys then. We have dolphins on both sides.
All right. There, I want to try to introduce myself in dolphin.
Okay. He's very excited. He's excited. He sees us walking out. He knows we're going to play with them.
Close.
Just making up names. They're going to, like he just did.
Yep.
Ah! Okay. So hold on one moment. The first thing we're going to do is invite the dolphins over to start their session. And the way we do that is with their shapes. Every dolphin has a unique symbol. It's like a name tag. So V and I are going to put those in at the same time. Now that's Flagler. He went straight to his. Here is Tanner. Yeah! Nice. Good boy. You want to show off? So watch out here. He's going to go for some dives. Beautiful, Tanner. Good boy. So, have you ever touched a dolphin before?
No.
You're going to put two hands out in front.
Whoa.
Good. Now Flagler is going to come over. Flagler is one of our loudest whistlers. So, I'm going to have you introduce yourself to him like you did the whistle. We'll see what he does.
Okay.
So did you see him actually sing? There we go. So we have what we call his signature whistle, which is like his own personal whistle on signal. Yeah, so that's Flagler's whistle. Good boy.
Can I try to do his signature whistle?
Sure.
Oh my god.
Our dolphins are trained to imitate.
Oh my god.
Yeah. There we go.
And that sound, that ah! That's kind of like
Yeah, so that's his excitement. Can you imitate that?
wow.
Good job. Are you a funny guy? You're so funny. Don't actually know what, so that's what I was doing with Flagler. We don't actually know for sure what Tanner's is. So in training, this whistle tells the dolphin, yes, that's it. You did it exactly right. So I'm gonna let you practice that. So let's send him out on a dive. Go ahead. Nice. All right, now get your whistle ready. When he's up in the air, you're gonna wanna blow that whistle. Perfect, wow. That was really good for your first try. So I'm gonna have you ask Tanner for a behavior that we call a shark impression. And for this one, we also say the word shark.
Ooh, shark? Shark.
Excellent, all right. Now get that whistle ready. Good.
Wow.
Nice, Tanner.
You are the man. Look at this guy.
Would you like to ask Tanner for his flip? And we say the word circle.
Wait. Circle.
Try it one more time.
Wait. Circle. What? He did. Oh!
Give Ari a high
Buddy.
five. Yeah. Left to right, and you're going to say the word as you do it. Speed. Okay?
Speed. Speed. Whoa.
So let's do some more imitation.
Yeah.
Just spin in a circle like that. Okay. All right, Tanner. What's he doing? Nice. Oh. mean, that's his interpretation
Wow.
of dancing.
That is a dance. Look at that.
Yeah, good boy.
Can I try to get him to imitate my bray?
I don't know what he'll do. I
Yeah.
don't think he's ever heard anything like that.
Right.
At least above the water. So go ahead and just make the sound. Ah! So
Like
that
it?
one. Nice. So what he actually just did there is his giggle. And
Right.
he learned that giggle from the other dolphins here. Originally, his grandfather was the first dolphin to offer that giggle up as a sound. He actually imitated it from a trainer. There was actually a staff member who had a very distinct giggle, and she was out on the docks with his grandfather, Delphi, and Delphi actually started copying that giggle. And now most of our dolphins know, and they either learned it directly from Delphi, or from another dolphin. Are you imitating his scream?
Oh.
He was doing this one.
What is that?
So that's a trained behavior called the seagull sound.
Yeah.
So if you want to ask for it, what you'll do is point and then use two hands
That's
just
a
like
seagull
that. Yeah. There you go.
That's a seagull? Oh, shit. Wow.
Yeah. But they definitely feed off of our enthusiasm and excitement. So the more excited you get, as you can see, the more excited he gets. Yeah.
He wants me to do the whistle again.
That is one of his favorite sounds to make. Good, yeah! See how excited he gets? He's not only screaming, but you can tell from his body.
Then I wanted to see what the dolphin would think of my imitation of his cackle. Let me try. Let's see if I can. No, like this. Ready?
He's just adding on to it now.
I don't think he likes my own imitation of dolphins.
Well,
I
it's
think I
not,
offended him.
these aren't really things that he's used to seeing, but that's okay. We
Right,
like
right.
variety.
Wow.
Nice seagull, buddy. You want to show off some more? Yeah? You go there.
Oh, man.
Beautiful, buddy. So Tanner is also very smart. He can do multiple things at a time. So for example, I can ask him to talk. So get still. And dive.
Whoa.
Watch out there.
Ayo.
So he's doing all three at once.
Yeah.
I can ask him to wait, spin, and go. Good. So see, he didn't do that spin behavior until I gave him the go, which is the release signal.
And they can remember your sequence of signals, like store them up.
Yeah, and
That's crazy.
what do you think? Can you clap for Ari?
Well, it seems like they just really enjoy hanging out. Like.
They do. I mean, our job as a trainer is to make sure that they are always having fun, both mentally and physically stimulated.
Wow, it's beautiful.
All right, Tanner, let's say goodbye. Can you wave to Ari?
Hey.
All right, great job. It's your first day as a dolphin trainer.
Holy cow! These guys are so cool. It's like they're like people. I mean, I don't know. Not quite people, but they have like such incredible communication. It's really like.
You hear them whistling to each other back and forth?
Yes, they are. They're like. Oh my God! Yeah.
So this dolphin is named Louie. Louie was rescued off the coast of Louisiana after the BP oil spill.
Wow.
And Louie is a ladies' man. And so his favorite thing to do right now is to sit at the bridge and he can watch the ladies on the other side and he can make sounds and whistle to them.
He's whistling at them.
Yep. Just a sound.
I felt like we were really bonding there for a bit. I wasn't expecting this, but my experiment happened to coincide with a moment in dolphin research that's never existed before. For the first time, scientists are beginning to interact with dolphins using their own sounds, and one of these scientists, Dr. Layla Sayegh, just won an award for it. You just won this huge $100,000 prize for two-way communication with dolphins. So you found this call in dolphins that was, it seemed like it was associated with some avoidance or alarm behavior. And when you played it back to them, they scattered? Like what happened?
Yes, typically we find that they swim away from it.
That's
when
so
we play
crazy.
So, yeah, it is pretty cool. We have had a couple of young males turn toward it and sort of stay in place and just look at it, but not approach, not avoid. But that's something that's also kind of characteristic of young males, is that they tend to be more investigative, more curious.
Wow. So, I mean, it clearly means something to them then. It has like a lot of unusual behavior.
I would say for sure it means something to them. I mean, I would leave the possibility open that my interpretation could be wrong.
Are you aware of any other sounds in dolphins or other animals where people have identified at least what they think is a plausible meaning of some vocalization and then been able to reproduce the behavior?
I would say probably the best known example of that are the alarm calls of vervet monkeys, and there are a few other primate and bird species that are known to make alarm calls, but those calls are not learned. So that's something that's very, very different between the primate work and our work with dolphins, because dolphins they learn their sounds the way we do. So they have a flexible vocal repertoire and they can acquire sounds throughout their lives. Whereas those examples of the vervet monkey calls, the young vervet monkeys are born being able to produce those calls. Right. In dolphins, there was one other call type that was described called a bray call that was associated with them feeding. I guess, that's right. I remember you mentioning that. And so that's one that was documented when they were feeding on salmon and fish, I guess, up in Scotland.
You're describing it as culturally acquired communication. You wouldn't necessarily be able to go to dolphins in Scotland or anywhere else and reproduce the sound. This is their own learned communication, essentially.
That's right. Yes, I think that's very likely.
Almost like different languages in different countries.
Potentially, yep, for sure, or accents or dialects, maybe.